Here strictly for loyalty.
Loyalty.
I've been shot on the streets. I've been stabbed in here. And there's nothing to glorify about this. You'll get guys that's gonna glorify being in prison, glorify their gang, all that. There's no glory in that.
Hi, Richard.
Welcome to another episode, everyone. This individual has been in prison, I believe, for 31 years. You have to hear his story and what he has to say about what he's going through and what prison life is like. Stay out of this place.
Lord, thank you so much for being in Between the Lines podcast with us today. I'm happy to have you here, and how are you? How are you doing today?
I'm doing well. I'm doing fine. Thank you.
Well, I just want to get to know you and know where you're from and
Absolutely.
where you grew up. So if you can tell me a little bit about that.
Well, I was born in Brooklyn and grew up in Haiti, moved back to Brooklyn, then to Pasadena. So that's where I grew up. Most of my childhood was in Pasadena.
Yeah.
You know, I still have memories of Haiti, still have memories of Brooklyn.
Really?
Yeah.
So you were in Brooklyn, then Haiti, then Pasadena?
Brooklyn, Haiti, Brooklyn, Pasadena. Yeah.
So you have a Haiti background, but Brooklyn raised.
Yes, I was a Haitian nationality. Brooklyn raised for half of my life, and then Pasadena raised for the rest of my life, ever since adolescence to adulthood in Pasadena.
Are your mom and dad both Haitian?
Yes.
Wow. So how is that? How has their tradition and their culture affected you?
Well, it's comedic because we was like the most different people on the block. So our household smelled like onions. You know, my father spoke with a heavy accent. So everybody used to kind of tease us a little bit, but you know, for the most part, everybody was family where we was at.
Yeah, and what kind of values do they instill in you compared to the American values?
Well, my father, what a lot of people don't know about Haitian people, especially first generation Haitians, is we abhorred the idea, my father abhorred the idea of welfare. He believed if you have hands, you don't need no wishes. You work hard for it. And he was a person who instilled the importance of education in us. Like he drove that home. That was his pet peeve. It was to the point to where we used to change our grades on the report card when we used to get bad grades.
Sorry, Dad. I did that once.
So education was big for him.
Yeah. Well, that's good. He had kept you disciplined and responsible. And so at what age were you in Pasadena?
I grew up around from about 9 years old till my incarceration, till the time I was incarcerated. I'd go back to Brooklyn, but for the most part, I grew up in Pasadena.
And tell me a little bit about your childhood and what you did. What was that like?
Well, I was always an awkward kid, to be honest with you. You know, when you don't know yourself too much, you're trying to find yourself. So after my brother went to the Air Force when I was around 11 years old, he was like my best friend, so I started seeking other big brothers to fill that void. I was already growing up in like a gang area, an area that was gang infested. So after my brother left, I just took on other brothers. You know, the brothers that I went to school with in elementary became my brothers.
Right.
So and that, you know, sometimes that led to not so much of a good path. You feel me?
I feel like if your parents are Haitian, they're on you.
They were on me.
So they're not. They were never in the gang world or anything. They didn't know any of that.
No, they didn't acquiesce. In fact, my father used to always tell me when I was coming up, I got to do his accent.
Please do it.
He's like, Richard, you will see. You will come back. He say, those guys at the bottom, they'll be there when you come back. They'll always be there when you come back. He used to always say that. So.
Whoa. That gave me the chills because.
And it was true.
And it was true.
It was true. And his idea of America and his idea of America and the reality of what America was for us was kind of confusing for me because the idea of America that he saw was what he saw. But the idea of America that I understood was a little bit different.
I completely understand because I'm Colombian from Colombian immigrant parents, and it's like the way they see LA and how I was raised is completely different to the way that I am. And like we have our own world, right?
Exactly.
And we make our own decisions depending, but having them as guides definitely helps, I think.
And another thing too is, you know, the world speaks to youth different than they do adults. So when you come into a world and you're young and you're coming up in it, it's different than when you came and you're already older and you already have your ideas, your set ways, your set values.
Definitely.
So
like the Pasadena world like shaped you essentially
Exactly.
through your childhood, which your
Exactly.
parents never had.
they never had that. So
then you said that when your brother went to the military, you started,
I started hanging out.
with other
Yeah,
friends.
getting in trouble. But we was poor, so when you come up poor, and people speak about the way you dress, the clothes that you have, and they're not name brands, I have all kinds of stories where my father used to go to because he was struggling. We had a lot of siblings, so we'd go to the supermarket, and we try to keep him away from the toy aisle. But my little brother used to run into the toy aisle all the time. And one time he runs into the toy aisle, and he goes, "Go get your brother." So I go get my brother. I'm trying to pull him out the toy aisle. My father comes there. He's pulling us both off the toy aisle. And then he looks up. He sees tennis shoes for sale. He starts looking at the tennis shoes. He's like, "It's 6. You can get 6 for $20. Pick 6." So, he makes us pick a gang of supermarket tennis shoes. You in school and you're uncomfortable. So,
Yeah.
that plays a lot in your upbringing.
That affected you.
It affects you,
Yeah.
so because you're trying to keep up with that mod that society has for you. You feel me? Most kids. So.
Well, yeah, of course, because society has taught us that our worth is wrapped up in what we have, material things. So he's just explaining that growing up poor, destitute, has an effect on one's mind. When you can't even get name brand stuff, or you can't get certain stuff that you want, that the other kids at your school have, the other kids in your neighborhood have these things, and you want these things to keep up with them, to look a certain way, to keep up a certain status, and you cannot do so. Yes, it will have an effect on you. And if you're not careful, it'll have you out there in the street doing things just to get these material things to look a certain way. But you better not risk your freedom for any name brand anything. There are things that are much more important in life than that, and then material stuff. And we have to have strength and not be worried about what the outside world says about our worth, because our worth is not based on our material.
You grow up around kids that doesn't have too much things, and what we try to do is try to make things for ourselves. That's what ends up happening.
So then tell me a little bit more about that. The transition between your adolescence and how you got here.
Well, as a kid, all my best friends at that age, when I was young at that age, most of them are either incarcerated or they passed away. They're dead. So I don't really have too many friends that are still alive that I grew up with at them ages.
Wow.
Bad choices, the neighborhood, So you come up like that, and even if you're smart, like I was kind of a smart kid, but I used to downplay my intelligence a little bit because it was laughed at. You was looked at upon as a geek. You read books. And I was the kid that couldn't come outside. At one point in time in my life, I couldn't come outside. So when you finally do come outside, your father, your family tried. My father, my stepmother, mothers, they try to shield you from the elements that they see that is negative, but without really understanding that element. Because there's really no negativity in the element until you really sit there and you understand it. It's just misguided.
Right.
It's just people who are misguided a little bit. So when I finally started coming outside, I started getting into a little bit of trouble with the people that I was hanging out with.
What does that mean?
Well, we was doing things that got us in trouble. I'll just leave it at that, And then I tried to play sports. I got a challenge one day by a boy in school. His name was Tariq. He challenged me to come out to the field. I thought he was challenging me for a fight, but he challenged me to come practice. So I started practicing football. That became my passion. So I started playing football. But sometimes when you're playing sports and you still have that street element, you try to juggle them both. It never works.
You can't have one foot in and one foot out of anything.
It never works. You're either going to be in the streets or you're going to be playing ball. And my entire team was like that.
Yes, of course. And many people have been through that, the dichotomy of it all. You know, it's like you're straddling the fence. You want to do right. And then the lure of the streets also lures you back or has you in the streets believing that you can make a life for yourself there in the street, and you cannot, not long term. He was playing ball, but he was, as he said himself, straddling the fence. He's going both ways. He's not sure. Should I be playing ball or should I be in the street? And you cannot do both like that. You have to be committed to one or the other. And when you straddle the fence like that, it goes bad. You know, I'm interested to see how he ends up in prison for so long. And he's clearly intelligent, articulate, and calm. You would think, how can someone be so calm in such a volatile environment? But you learned this in prison. To be calm and observant, to pay attention, you know, and to protect yourself. He's guarded here, I can see. You know, some things he doesn't even want to reveal now, but he's clearly intelligent and I'm sure deserves another chance on the street. Seems like he's been in here, I believe, for 30-some years. Let's see, though.
They had the art of juggling pretty much down, so I thought I could juggle, and apparently I couldn't.
So this is high school?
This is high school.
And what do you mean you couldn't juggle it?
You can't be in the streets and play ball. It's either you're gonna choose. You're either gonna choose the ball or you're gonna choose the streets. So when you try to do both, you try to be a street guy playing ball, it never works. The worlds collide, you end up in here.
So then what happened?
Well, not to go too much into the situation, I was actually coming back from practice one day and rode by my old neighborhood and started hanging out with some guys. Mm-hmm. And that was a bad decision. It ultimately caused me to come up in here. So I don't want to go too much into that.
You don't want to talk about the situation?
No,
exactly.
not too much into that.
Okay.
Because I'm still in litigation about it. Mm-hmm. And however, what I do want to say is it was a very unfortunate situation. A human being did lose his life. Mm-hmm. And there's a lot of remorse there because there's a lot of things that could have been done differently. And I believe everybody there that night, well, myself and the victim, paid the ultimate price because I've been in here 31 years behind it. And nobody got the story straight. The story's never been straight. Regardless of how much evidence points to my innocence, the state of California believes I'm guilty. So therefore, it's an uphill battle. When you get in this situation, there's certain things you can say, there's certain things you can't do, there's certain maneuvers you try to do. Ultimately, it just doesn't work out. And you have to end up fighting. You're fighting from a losing standpoint. Because when you're in a situation like this, the penal system wants you to, they want you to have, let's say, they want you to have a law level understanding of the law. Fresh in.
You have no idea.
You have no idea. So therefore you're losing.
Well, at least he's remorseful. Many people are in prison. They say they don't give a damn about what happened to their victim. I had to do what I had to do. Clearly, he's not going into much detail about what transpired that night. He said the case is still in litigation, meaning he's still, he has hope for appeal. He doesn't want to talk too much about it on the interview. It's understandable. But he did go so far as to say someone lost their life and that he had remorse for that. And that's really the only reason he brought that up, is because he wanted to say something about that someone lost their life. And as he said, he's also suffered because he's been in there for 31 years. So he lost his life as well. Yes, he's still breathing, but there's no life in prison. He lost his life to this point.
Then they assign you a public defender who doesn't care about you, really. He gives you the most minimal defense, most minimal appeal that you can, and you get lost in the system because this is what happens. And a lot of these young guys around here, and I used to be one, they believe that their Lord is the Savior, that their Lord is Jesus per se. I got a lawyer, I got an attorney, my appeal's gonna go right. And they have all this hope in their eyes. And then they speak to guys like me and I tell them you better start to learn your case. Learn the law, learn how to write a writ, learn how to write an appeal, because you're gonna be doing it. And they learn the hard way. It makes you bitter up in here.
Yeah. Well, it seems like you learned the hard way, right? After 31 years. How was the beginning of that experience for you? You know, first coming in, obviously none of your family was in prison, I don't think, that you knew personally.
The reason why I started this conversation with you and I emphasized that I was Haitian is because part of my coming up in here, it played a lot in it. When I first came up in here, you know, my family wasn't too much there for me. They actually turned their back on me, to be honest with you, because I was an embarrassment. Yeah. Because too many people from my family didn't come to prison, so it's an embarrassment for them. Until they realized and understood what the system is, and they started learning for themselves. Yeah. And I don't fault them. I'm not bitter about it. I understand it. When you first come up in here in prison, you're dehumanized off top. They strip you away. You're a number, and you have to assimilate yourself into a world that thrives on violence. That's the only universal language that people understood was violence. It was like the proving ground, the testing ground. You know, if you didn't do a violent act, you're gonna do a violent act because that's the only language people understood.
It was like an initiation kind of.
It was not even an initiation thing.
The lifestyle.
You're already initiated, you're in prison. It was a survival thing. It was a boundary thing, a respect thing, power struggles, you know, that people get sucked in. It's a vacuum that people get sucked into. A lot of people don't have any choices. You know, people who's never walked these yards, administration who's never walked the yards and has never really worked the yard and understand the dynamics, they don't understand the pressure that a lot of young people are up under when you come up in here. Is because, you know, if you and I could be playing around and I could say something to you and you could say something to me that I might not take offense to and you might not take offense to, but this guy right here is looking at it, he just read the whole situation wrong. So this is his way of coming in and either casting judgment on you or putting you in a position to where you have to react a certain way to uphold the standard that most people thought that you had to live by up in here.
And you weren't a violent guy before.
Yes, of course, and that's the dynamic of prison. You know, you have to protect yourself, you have to defend yourself. There are many boundaries, and you do not want to cross those boundaries. The main thing, as I've always said, is respect. As he just alluded to, you have to respect yourself and respect everyone in there. But it's a very volatile, violent situation, potentially prison. And sometimes you do nothing to bring this violence about. It's just the environment. And so sometimes you can't get around it, though you try. And it's just a horrific situation. And he's right, the administration don't really know what the goings on the yard like that, nor do they care. But there is a lot of pressure, as he alluded to. There's a lot of pressure on the younger individuals coming into prison, trying to navigate a miserable situation and don't understand the politics of it all. It takes a while to digest and absorb the politics. And if you don't know them, you can find yourself in a world of trouble quickly. So you just want to get there, mind your own business, find out what the rules are, abide by said rules, and stay out of the way. And then you will survive. But it is a very violent situation, and you don't want to be there. If you're not there, don't do anything to wind up there, man, period.
Or like that. Or were you, before you got into prison,
before
like
I came to prison, to be honest with you, I wasn't racial lines wasn't a problem for me because I have my family is so multicultural that race wasn't an issue for me. Worrying about what people thought about, it used to be an issue in terms of esteem when I was coming up, but that wasn't really the big issue. You come up in here and you quickly learn race. You quickly learn Mexicans over here, blacks over here, whites over here, Indians over here. This group is over here. This group is split. That group is split. You quickly learn that fast. It's an invisible line that you quickly learn.
So what was the hardest thing for you when you first got in here?
The hardest thing for me, to be honest with you, was being in limbo, not knowing where my life was going, and having to deal with administration, yard politics, the lockdowns, being away from family. That was really hard. Seeing people lose their lives in the yard for menial reasons, minor reasons, being involved in riots that we didn't even know what it was about. You know, I was kind of testing. Then there was no hope, no education, no educational programs, no self-help groups. So you had a lot of bottled up emotions and a lot of things that was going on inside you that you never addressed, that you didn't even know was going on.
So what was your outlet during that time at the beginning?
Writing for me was my outlet. So I always knew how to write. I just never took it seriously. I won an award when I was in high school for writing. Wow. So I never really took it seriously until I became incarcerated and I started writing. I got challenged to write a movie one time and I wrote it, and it was more better than average.
Yeah?
So I started writing novels and things of that nature. And like I was telling you, your name Ivana is one of my main characters in one of my novels.
I can't believe that. Why Ivana?
Because she's a Taino Indian. She's a Taino Indian in my vampire book named Ivana Tachu.
Oh my goodness.
So she's one of the main characters.
Yeah, he's clearly intelligent, man. He writing movies and writing books. You have to do something with your time. And idle mind is a devil's playground. So you do something with your time there in prison. You need something cathartic, an outlet. His outlet was writing. Some people's outlet is reading. Some is exercise. Some is all of the above. Meditation, whatever the situation, you still want to stay in tune with yourself and continue to grow regardless of your environment and the situation that you are in.
Comes a movie, you have to hire me to play Ivana, obviously, because I'm an actress too.
You got to work out because she just does a lot of.
What are you saying?
I'm not saying you don't work out. I'm just saying you're gonna have to work out.
Okay, I'm down. Thanks a lot, but I'm down. You're gonna have to teach me because you're fit.
Jumps off trees and all types of stuff.
That's so fun.
Yeah.
So then, writing for you was like your place of peace and imagination.
Writing was my peace because when you write, you get to form the world how you want the world to be formed, and you get to take aspects of yourself and put it into your literature, and you get to express ideas that normally you wouldn't share with other people. So that's what writing did for me, and that's what writing does for me today. Sometimes I like to turn everything off in my cell, except Sade, and write. So that's like really my outlet.
And with the novels that you're writing, what do you want people to experience from it or learn from it or get inspired by it?
Well, everything that I write I don't like cheesy movies. Mm-hmm. So
what's your favorite movies?
The good guy doesn't always win in my novels. Because if the good guy won, I wouldn't be here speaking to you. So the good guy doesn't always win in my novels.
What do you mean by that? You're saying that you're the bad guy?
No, I'm just saying the good guy doesn't always win. I haven't won yet. I'm in a position of lost right now. You feel me? Because I'm in here strictly for loyalty.
Loyalty.
Loyalty was big to me. Mm-hmm. We was raised in the hood like that, to be loyal.
And how do you feel about that now after being here for 31 years? Would you have done things differently?
Yes, I would have done a lot of things differently.
But what are some things you would have done differently?
The main thing I'd have did differently was I'd have shedded some of the people that I thought was friends. Yeah,
and there you go. And a wise man learns from someone else's mistakes. So though he didn't, doesn't have the ability to make these different decisions now, we all do. So this is an educational moment, really. At the end of the day, he said he would shed some of his friends, because they put you in a position. Sounds like to me, reading between the lines, that he got caught. I could be wrong, but that he got caught up in a situation, got caught up in a case, and did not snitch. This is why he's saying that I'm in here. I'm one of the good guys. I'm in here for loyalty. Then he starts talking about his friends that he wouldn't have been around anymore. I think maybe his so-called friends got him caught up in this case, and he just didn't snitch, bro. I bet you.
Minimize the access that I gave people to me, and
why is that? What
because
did
when
them
you give
have?
a lot of people access to you, right, that don't share the same core values as you, you open yourself up to what they have going on in their lives, and then you're bounded sometimes. And when you're young like that, and you're bounded by a sense of loyalty, you basically tie yourself to the malfeasance that they tie themselves to. So,
do you think that because you were giving your energy out to everybody, it led you to this crime that you were in?
This crime is a crime that occurred where I was unaware. I was unaware the crime was going to happen. I was unaware the crime actually occurred the way it occurred. I was unaware. I was totally unaware. It was one of those things where I tell you, hold this watch real fast. For example, hold this watch real quick. This is not my watch. This is this guy's watch. You hold this watch. You want to see the watch? Here, check this watch out. This guy asked for his watch back. He does whatever he does with his watch, whoever he gives his watch to. I'm off over here doing something, whatever I'm doing. And this group goes down here and do whatever they do. Next thing you know, I'm up in here.
Yeah.
That's that type of situation that I'm in.
And you said that you were really resentful, but also remorseful.
Absolutely. A person lost their lives that didn't have to lose their lives. And then when you, I'm probably one of the few people who took the time to actually study or do some research on who lost their lives in my case. And it's very sad. Like a good person lost their life. And a good person lost their life under circumstances that just
it wasn't worth it.
It wasn't worth it.
And so, have you made peace with the actions that were done? Have you made peace with it inside?
Well, I didn't take the man's life. I'm not responsible for that. But I am responsible for coming to that street with that instrument that took his life. I'll say that.
Right.
Though I was unaware that that instrument would have been used to take his life, I'm responsible for that.
Right.
I take full responsibility for that. Even though I could make an excuse as to why that weapon left my car. Because it was like a lose-lose situation. You leave it in the car, somebody plays with it that's inside the car, the person that was in the car, he plays with it. While he's drunk, he hurts himself. Who's on the hook for it? You. You take it out, you pass it off to the person it belongs to, something happens.
But isn't there like an intention behind that? Like you're gonna bring it to what? To protect yourself, to have fear for others. Like there's an intention behind. If I give you a pen, right, or like you're like you should write with it. Like so, like was your intention just to protect yourself, or just to have?
It wasn't my weapon. It didn't belong to me.
I see.
Somebody else's weapon. But at that time, this is what a lot of people failed to realize. In those days, those was the 90s. Quote unquote squares had weapons.
Right.
Everybody had weapons. It was a wild time. The streets were wild. This is why all those gang tasks came out, different injunctions came out, because it was a wild time. parties was getting turned
Okay,
out.
so he passed the weapon on. He brought a weapon. You heard him. He brought a weapon to the scene, gave it to one of his homies, and he says that he didn't know what his homie was going to do with the weapon, basically. Which is, I didn't know he was about to kill somebody with the damn weapon. I gave him the weapon. I walked over here. He didn't kill somebody with it, and they caught him up in it for giving him the weapon. I'm sure they got him for the murder as well. He had been in there for 31 years. But 31 years is excessive. Certainly someone lost a life, and that's lifelong. But excessive in the sense that if he didn't pull the trigger, and especially if he really didn't know what was going on, he just returned somebody their weapon and they did what they did with the weapon, man. How's he responsible for someone else's decision? Okay, but 31 years? Damn. We gonna let the man out.
That's what was going on at the time. Everybody wanted to be somebody. There was only two choices. You was either a ball player or you was a gangster. So you had to make the choice on what you gonna be out there in these streets. That's how it was.
And you chose being a gangster?
No, I chose to be a ball player and moonlighted as a gangster, I guess is what you'd say. So, but, at that time, like I say, we juggled.
Yeah.
Juggling, you can't be in the streets and you can't play ball at the same time. You can't go to school and hang on the block after school. You can't do it, and that's what we were doing.
Can you walk us through a day in your life?
An average day for me is I wake up at around 3:30. I rarely sleep, so I wake up at around 3:30, 4 o'clock, and I wash up, I pray, and after I pray, I meditate. Then I do a quick routine, a quick workout routine. And by that time, it should be around 5 o'clock in the morning. Mm-hmm. So I wash up again. And after that, I'm either doing an assignment that's due that day because I'm in college up in here, or I'm reading something that I'm trying to accomplish, I'm trying to do before they open the door and I go to work. So usually I'm studying financial, how to asset protection strategies, how to work LLCs and that type of thing, credit mastery. So I'm usually reading these type of books early in the morning. Some days it's all about finance. Some days it's all about spirituality. So.
Are you a religious guy, or do you believe in God? Where do you stand within faith?
I strongly know that there's a God. And I strongly, because if it wasn't for God, I've been in here 31 years and I still have all my teeth. I don't have one fake tooth. I've been hurt, but not hurt to the point to where I'm bedridden. I've been shot on the streets. I've been stabbed in here, but it wasn't to the point to where I was debilitated. So I've always felt like I've had a covering over me. And I believe that is God. Because I believe as a believer, God protects the believer. I'm a strong believer in that. So
I agree with that.
I believe in, I help run two religious services up in here.
Oh, really? Which ones?
I help run Islamic services and IFA services. And as the chaplain expressed, I'm one of their favorite guys because any type of program that's going on in the chapel, I try to lend a hand to. Because one of my outlets also was up in here when I first came in was to study almost all religions. So there's really not a religion that I haven't studied. From Buddhism to Christianity to Catholicism. So, and what I found is there's a straight line pointing to one X. Yes.
Yeah, I was gonna ask you, what's the through line for all these religions?
They're so alike, right? That to see people fight in the world behind religions and beliefs is it's comical really to me, because if they really took the time to study, they'd realize that the thing that separates them is smaller than the thread. And the thing that merges them together is so much more. Like monotheism is monotheism. So maybe we'll all mature one day to get there, but I see correlations in everything.
And how important to you do you think it's to have faith while you're here?
If you don't have faith, you lost.
And is that your biggest goal with these inmates or these incarcerated people that you're with, to like spread the word? And
well, I'm not really a word spreader.
That's not your
That's
avenue.
not really my job.
Yeah.
I don't really spread the word. Me personally, this is my
MO.
This is my path in life. My path is, if you want the best advice, the advice I'd give to myself, come ask me and I'm gonna give it to you.
What is that kind of advice? Will you share it for us?
It all depends on the problem. I'm a person who's gonna I'm keeping confidence in anything you speak to me. I'm not a guy that you'll speak to me about a personal issue and then I go speak to another guy about it. I don't care if it's two of my friends. If you speak to me about something and you speak to me about something, that something dies with me. And I'm gonna give you the best advice. I'm gonna use all the tools that I've learned in all these classes, all the tools that I've learned in walking my own life to give you the best advice.
Yeah, man, set this man free.
Because what I've learned about prison is...
Set this brother free. Intelligent brother, trying to do better with his life. Seems like he didn't even pull the trigger. Again, not to minimize what happened there, but clearly he had some involvement. But he's paid the price for that involvement after 31 years. There are people with much more serious cases and situations that do no time or much less time, 5 years or so, whatever the situation is, man. I mean, my God, the man is he's bettered himself, he's writing. And what does rehabilitation look like? What does redemption look like? Why should I go in there and redeem myself and rehabilitate if I'm never going to have a chance in society again? I'm going to have to stay in this miserable, violent situation inside of here.
It's more so, it's more mental than it is anything. You know, the physical part is when you give up and you don't have no other ideas and no other ways to resort, this is when people get physical. Or when they have things about them, aspects about themselves that they haven't yet figured out, they get physical. But if you understood the ultimate goal is unanimity, right? You tend to try to find other ways to deal with situations, other ways to deal with people. And a lot of these guys are in search for themselves in here. So any way I can help that, I help that. You know, I go around, I tell people that we have a class up in here. I tell people about the books that I get, and if they're interested, they could come and get it.
And how important do you think reform is, and studying and learning for people here?
I think reform is very important, but more important than reform is, I believe as the incarcerated persons population is put up under these guidelines for reform, I believe staff has to follow that guideline as well. All those old type of ways of thought need to be eradicated.
So what would that look like if there was a new way of thought? Like, what's the new way that you think would be helpful?
Just like how you guys came up in here to humanize us, right? And to give value to our lives. Staff needs to also follow that same mod at the same time. And I'm not saying it's an easy job for them. I'm never going to sit up there, because I've sat up there and watched some of the best guys get disrespected by inmates. And unbeknownst to them, after they turn around, I'm like, why you talk to this dude like that?
Yeah.
Because at the end of the day, they're human beings as well, and they come in here to do a job, and they're just trying to do their job and leave and go home. Some guys come up in here to do their job, and they do too much.
Yeah.
You know, and some guys come up in here some guys that's top brass has never worked yards before, has never been around inmates, they isolate themselves and they become alien to the yard because they don't understand how the flow and the complexities are on the yard. So you have all these kind of dynamics going on, and they ask people like that's older like myself to help navigate some of these situations and to help guide certain people. And so the job is kind of hard for guys like me that's my age, because we're always the ones they're looking to help navigate situations. And but we never get no accolades for it. There's never no accolades. There's never no laudatory chronicles for that.
Right.
You feel me? So
what are you most looking forward to in the future?
what I'm looking forward to most, if God willing, is freedom. I've never stopped believing. I've always believed that it's gonna go right at some point. I've lost a lot of good people along the way, and one of my a lot of people who supported me.
I already knew he was gonna say
lost.
freedom.
And
When she said what you looking forward to in your future, what you looking freedom, I knew he was gonna say freedom, man. That's all anyone in prison is looking forward to and thinking about is freedom. That's it. That's all I thought about from the time I woke up to the time I went to bed, and while I was in the bed, while I was in the shower, while I was eating, while I was sleeping, while I was working out. All I thought about was freedom, no matter what the situation was, man. That's it. Was so sick of that damn place. Feel for this brother, man.
I want the opportunity to get out and to broadcast my talents, to broadcast what I know and what I understand about life and the situation, and let it live through what I contribute. And I want to be able to take care of myself with that. I want the opportunity to actually be a man, because manhood is one thing, but responsibilities and being accountable, that's another part of it. And we're only getting a small whiff of it in these situations. You know, I want to be able to control my life, my own life, and my own destiny. And I want to be able to influence and impact as many people that I can. I mean, a life without having impact is really sad for me. You know, you have to have some kind of impact. There's too much that's went on up in here, and there's nothing to glorify about this. You'll get guys that's gonna glorify being in prison, glorify their gang, all that. I mean, I could have sat up here and told you all kind of gory stories about the hood and this and that and this and that. There's no glory in that.
There's nothing in there.
That's not to be glorified.
So if you could talk to you the day before, the day that it happened, the day your crime happened, what would you say to those other kids that are watching that are in the same boat, that they from one day to the next they can be here for 31 years?
If I could have went to the day before.
If you could have gone to the day before or the moment before, what would you say to them?
If I could have went the day before, I would have told myself, man, you really need to focus on your school and nothing else. Focus on football, focus on your school and nothing else. Leave the hood alone. Leave the hood alone. Because this is one thing I've learned about life, and prison has taught me this, studying religion has taught me this, is God is consistent. All the stories God tell you are consistent.
Yeah.
There's a consistency there. And in the same manner, in the same fashion, every hood story is consistent. You shine, you get put on, you try to establish your name, you try to shine, then you go dark, then you lose. You either come to prison or you suffer so much trauma, right, that you don't even understand that you're affected by the trauma. You watching kids that's 15 years old, your age, that you went to school with, curled up, gone, never to hear they laugh again. This is the lives that we live. You feel me? So if I was able to go back, you know, I tell myself, you need to learn how to make a choice, because that's another thing too. A lot of us didn't know how to make choices.
The right choice.
The right choice, because a lot of us never knew what it took to make a right choice. So that's a big part of it too. So.
Can I ask you, is your dad alive?
Yeah, my pops is alive.
He is?
Yeah, he's alive. He's alive.
Why are you smiling so much? Are you guys close still?
You know, he and I, we had our run-ins and moments of disagreement. But at the end of the day, my father, my mother, my stepmother, I love them. And I'ma always love them. Because as a man, when you look at where he came from, what he came from, when I understand my grandfather, what my grandfather was, and the type of life that he was living in Haiti, the political unrest, the instability of the country, the getting chased around those streets, and to make it to America, never been arrested. My father has never been arrested. My father no handcuffs.
Yeah,
My father taught himself how to speak English, taught himself how to speak Spanish fluently, taught himself how to speak, I forgot which, it's another language he knows how to speak. He knows how to speak multiple languages. And to come out here and become a homeowner, you know.
Raise the kids.
Raise not kids, children, you know, it says a lot.
So when you get out of here and you get a chance to be sitting with your dad in his house or over food, or what is something that you're gonna tell him, that you would want to tell him?
For one thing I would tell him is I didn't get it, but I got it now. That's the main thing. I didn't get it. I didn't understand what you were saying. Because sometimes, even though a person intends well, the lessons that they're trying to give you get lost in translation, because they're not gifted enough to see what you're going through. So the word that they give you gets lost. And I think that's what happened between my father and I. A lot of the things that he was trying to tell me got lost in translation. So, but now in my life, now that I've grown up and I see life how it is, and I understand reality for what it is, and I see a lot of things that he was telling me was true. They rang true, and they're true, a lot of the things. So I tell him now, I know now, I understand now. I get why you were saying that. I get why you used to try to do these things to not let me hang out with such and such. I get it.
Richard, thank you so much for your time and your stories and your lessons and the history.
Thank you.
Yeah, thank you, Richard. Shout out to that brother, man. And set that man free. He seems intelligent, seemed like he did his time. I'm not easily sold, but he did his time. And we need intelligent people in society. If anything, there are many people in prison that should not be there. Whether they were innocent from the beginning, which, you know, he admitted that he was not, that he played some part in this, you know, or whether they have been rehabilitated and thus need to be set free. But they will be contributors to this world, to society. They will not be liabilities. They should not be in there. A lot of individuals, just judging from this briefly, obviously I don't know this man, but he seems calm, collected, intellectual, and remorseful. Do you see him going back out there grabbing a weapon and gangbanging? I don't. I see him going out there being a productive member of society and contributing to the world. Perhaps being one of the people that can help change the world. Not everyone should be in there, man. Even if they did something 31 years ago or 10 years ago, we all need space to grow and to rehabilitate ourselves. And once done, give us a chance to exercise that rehabilitation. Shout out to this brother, and I hope he gets free soon. Stay safe and stay free, people.